And we're moving now, moving back in time. In that lifetime when you worked with the Knights Templar, moving back in time when you worked with the Knights Templar, and be there now, be back in that lifetime now. What's the very first thing that comes into your awareness?
Well, it looks like I'm back on that island, and I think we determined it was near Spain, or is Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm up on a hill today in a really dense brush of trees, and I'm walking through there, and this wild animal, it kind of almost looks like a tiger, comes out of nowhere, and I think we're both caught by surprise. And of course, like at first, I'm very scared, and then I'm thinking back to some of the knowledge that I was taught from the work I was doing with Templars last time, also when we talked about how to communicate with spirit world around us in the animal world, and I'm able to calm my breath and not get into a super deep meditative state, but almost like that, and connect with this animal, and they understand that I'm not there to hurt them. And there's honestly this like instant connection with us once we realize that we can almost communicate this way, and it becomes like my spirit animal in that lifetime. And I seem to develop a really strong relationship with this animal, and I'll come up into the higher density areas, higher elevated areas of this island to find this animal, and he'll actually come down, which he tries not to very often, but he will now that we've connected this way, to come and find me and connect with me. And he almost becomes like my pet, so he waits for me to come back, and I miss him when I'm gone, and we develop this really deep connection, and I can feel his protective energy even when I'm not on that island. His spirit is with me and keeping me safe and protected. So that initial meeting is what I'm seeing, and it's just such a beautiful thing.
What does it feel like when he communicates back with you?
It is... it makes you kind of emotional, because once you both can get that fear put aside, and you know that you're seeing each other's souls and spirits versus that outward appearance, it's just a sense of love, and sort of like for both of us, like relief and awe, and almost this feeling of like ancient practices being like brought forth. And it's like we both are like, this is how it always should have been. And there was a time, I think, that we were able to communicate with animals very easily, but that got dialed down.
Tell me about that. When could we communicate with animals very easily? Do you get a sense?
I think any time that there were cultures that were starting on this planet, so if we look at like Atlantean times and Lemuria times, and if we look at some of our indigenous cultures and tribes like that, they were not so indoctrinated, it seems like, with propaganda from government or pressures by society to be a certain way. And we were, just because we're not so inundated with that type of thing, that messaging, or maybe like we've talked about in other sessions, heavy food, lack of exercise, just a real deconnection to Earth. It was just naturally there. And it seems like there was a time where, yes, we did eat animal products, but there was communication between humans and the animals at that time, and an agreement was made that animal would give its life up to sustain a bigger amount of people. So it was never an animal just like giving up their life. So that one individual, you know, would have all this meat, because obviously there would be so much waste in that case. Or like nowadays you look at us and just the overconsumption and gluttonous. So like a chicken nowadays, for a person to have 2 wings, has like a whole chicken has to die just for that one individual to have these 4 chicken wings. Anyways, so the way that we consume meat now is so far removed from what it was back then. And if we communicated with animals, I don't think we would be eating the way we were, because they wouldn't be giving their permission for us to take their lives in the quantity that we are. It's about sort of sustainability, and they wanted the human race to flourish. And so there was this agreement. And so I think, you know, back in those days, that connection happened, and one animal would give its life and could feed a tribe for months. But I think as there was the white influence that came in, or whatever influences of greed, etc., came in these tribes or these cities, that's naturally started to dull itself, because we were using our connection to animals in a different way. It wasn't just about sustainability. It became about abuse of them for various things, like scientific purposes, like experimenting on them. It became about overconsumption of them. And so we lost that ability to connect with them.
Wow. So when you meet this animal, do you get a sense of all animals have that ability to tap into that way that you communicated with that animal?
All animals do, but it's interesting. It looks like they've lost that thought that they can actually connect with us that way too, because it just doesn't happen anymore. And so if we are to start dialing back into them, they're going to be surprised too, because they communicate with each other. They have their own language, but to communicate with humans is super rare. And so I think at first, if that starts to become more prevalent, which I do believe it will be, it's going to be surprising for some of them too, because we've just got so far away from that. But absolutely every animal can connect with humans that way. It's just like a lost practice that we have to work towards building up again.
So you were saying before, the way you were connecting with them was by getting into a meditation. And then was there anything else that you did to connect, to communicate with them?
So it looks like I pushed my energy out, like the Templars taught me. So initially, my first reaction was just fear-based. Like you just almost break into a cold sweat. And they try to teach you that anything coming from a fear state, like, can't be trusted, because it's your like chemicals happen in your body, and flight or fight, you know, that reaction is good if you need to run away, but you don't want to run away from everything. So you have to be really careful with that fear emotion. So I recognize that and just look at the situation and think, okay, first of all, if I run, this animal could absolutely catch up to me. So take a second here, and it happens in really quick succession, even though internally it feels like everything has slowed down. So it feels like you take a breath, I quiet my mind, I'm able to with my breathing, slow my breathing, and connect with that light energy that they taught me. And then I see myself pushing that energy out and pushing it towards this animal and enveloping this animal and myself in the same sphere of loving energy.
Oh.
And I think all of those things done in succession help to calm that animal's nervous system as well. And so it was able to feel that shift in the air and that shift in the energy. And it was able to calm itself down too. And then we're just staring at each other. And I think, like we've touched on before, there's such communication that can be seen by connecting through staring at someone's eyes. And we don't like to do that as humans, because I think if we really stare into each other's eyes, you're really seeing into someone's soul and connecting in such a strong way. So we did that, and we were just connecting. It's almost like you become hypnotized through each other's eye contact.
Wow.
And it was all of those things in succession that we were able to start telepathically communicating.
Wow, that's beautiful. And so you saw that animal and you said that it became your spirit animal. What did you mean by that?
So it seems like we have, like, if you have a pet in this life, as we know, even just, with our loved ones that passed away, they don't leave you. They're always with you, even if they're no longer on this physical earth. And that is what happened with this animal. So it protected me in this lifetime, that lifetime. But even when it passed away, it was the characteristics that it left behind, and the energy, it became almost like my totem. And because it was the characteristics of this tiger, just represented strength and agility, and also this like softness beneath that strong exterior. All of those things that he represented and the energy that he had, it stayed with me and helped guide my spirit while he was there, and then when he even passed on.
Wow, amazing. Amazing. So tell me more about what the Templars taught you. So they taught you how to communicate with animals, and was there anything else that they taught you that really stood out to you?
So they're teaching me about color therapy too, and how different colors can support certain practices or mean different things. And you can get a sense of sort of a few things. So if you are just by yourself and you want to connect with your spirit that day and maybe see where you're at, instead of trying to, look at auras, they're showing me that if you close your eyes, so if you picture yourself in the sun and you close your eyes, initially you might see like an orange or yellow or red type of light. And we all sort of just think, oh, that's the sun's rays, coming through. But if you just sit with that for a minute and really let those colors settle, there's going to be certain colors that come through that day that are resonating with either sort of where you are at or what you should be focusing in on. And they're showing me that if you're working with someone through physical touch or almost like Reiki practices, to pay attention to that too. So what's happening behind your eyes and the colors that are being shown to you, that there's almost like some sort of color therapy type thing that's occurring there too, if you're looking for it. I'm just going to try to tap more into this.
Tell me more about it.
So they're showing me right now to look behind my own eyes as I'm in here, and I'm not in the sun. Obviously, we're in a closed room, but behind my eye color right now, I'm seeing a lot of orange, some extremely deep colors of purple, and they're telling me that that has to do with areas that you are either lighting up through the work that we're doing now today, or areas that you need to work on. And so however those chakras align in your body and the color that aligns with each chakra, that's what you would be looking for. So I would need to be looking for today for the purple one and the orange one, and either recognize that the work we're doing is lighting those up, or that those are areas that I need to try to light up and energize, because I have either not a pure blockage. They say they don't love that word blockage, but because you're never truly blocked. Like, your body is this amazingly functioning system, but that maybe it's dormant, maybe there's like a little bit of gunk in there, maybe for whatever reason you need to just put more energy there. Or in the work we're doing today, maybe that's the energy that's pouring out. And so
Can you find out?
I'm getting the sense that the orange chakra is something that I need to work on.
Can they work on that for you?
We're working on it now. And then it's coming to me that the purple, very dark purple indigo light that I'm seeing behind my eyes is coming through because of the work that we're doing, and it's lighting up that chakra as we do this work today.
And do you get a sense why it comes through that chakra and why it comes when we're doing the work?
So certain things are activating the energies of those chakras. So each chakra has its meaning. And it seems like that indigo meeting there's a lot of love and sort of peace and harmony and connectiveness with that purple chakra.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why that's pouring forth when we do this work.
Okay.
And then this orange one, I think there's a connection to throat, or my throat is just getting scratchy again because of the work we're doing.
Oh.
I'll have to look that up after, but the orange, there's some work to be done there for sure. And we're working on that now.
Okay, good. So they told you, the Templars told you about the color therapy, so they were telling you to get it from behind your eyes and then project it out. Is that right?
It looks like it naturally projects. So it's looking like you have to determine what's happening when you close your eyes. Are you either already projecting that out, and that's, when you're projecting that out, that's always a good thing. So is that projection occurring, or is there something that's sort of preventing that from projecting out? And that color is being shown to you because you need to work on that, so that can be cleared, and so it moves more freely, and then it can more easily project out. So it's all about creating a harmony in your body. And they're showing me that when you are more grounded and all of those chakras are sort of, I keep saying blocked, like I say, they don't love that word, but if any of them have blockages, then my chakras can't connect as easily with yours. And so this purple chakra, I'm sensing that there's like a connection between yours and mine, and there's a meeting of that energy here today. And so when you meet and your frequencies or your energies or your chakras are connecting, that's another point of interaction between the two of us. And so if there's any blockages there, we can't connect as easily on that. And maybe there's a reason also through the work that we're doing, that these forces that we've talked about in the past would want to try to dim that chakra or put a blockage on it, so that our connection on some of these issues wouldn't be as clear. So they're just teaching me to tune into that, and it becomes something that you get really good at. And so the idea is that you always want to be checking in with yourself and where you're at, and maybe, like I said, what's really flowing well and what maybe needs a little bit of work, and just tuning into those energies and what they all mean and making sure they're running really well.
How do you make sure things are running well? Did they ever tell you?
So they talk about quieting your mind again and just really being with your body. And then starting at the top of your head, actually above it, there's this chakra above your head, and starting up there and just connecting and feeling that energy and giving it a little bit of light and love, and almost just like kind of blasting it with your white light that comes up from above us. And we talked about that thread running through, and it looks like that thread runs through all of those chakras. And so you can use that white light to just come down and through each of your chakras just connect in with them and clear them. And that as you become more connected to that practice, as you go through those points, you'll be able to sense where some need you to just sit with them a little bit longer and blast more of that white light into them and clear them and have them be more active.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow, that's really interesting. And what else did they teach you?
I'm kind of laughing here, but because it has to do with a little bit of what we talked about before the session, but it's not so much that they taught me. I'm looking at our time in Spain, and there were people that had been on that island for hundreds of years before we arrived, and they're actually not just teaching me, they're teaching the Templars and all of us together about plant medicine. And so that no matter where you go or where you travel, even though the plants might not look the same, that there's medicine to be found everywhere, and that the earth provides us everything that we need. And so this idea today that we need to be, creating all these plastics or different textiles, with all these man-made products, that we don't really need to be doing that. That if we just would, sort of stop and take a breath, that the earth provides everything that you need. And so it looks like the Templars had shown me sessions and sessions ago about taking that kelp-like stuff out of the sea and boiling that down. And they're just letting me know, like, these aren't things that we inherently just always knew. Sometimes we are taught that by indigenous cultures, or we're guided through, spirits above. But that was just one piece of it, and we're just like, okay, what else can we learn from these people that have information that we don't? And so it looks like they're talking and teaching us about some of the plants on that island specifically, and boiling those down as well. Looks like we take certain things and dry them out and grind them into poultices, and I've taken those in a container. It almost looks like we've hauled out a coconut shell, and we put some of these poultices in and then cover them for me to take on the ship, so that if people get any illness like scrapes or bruises or fevers, that I can use some of these poultices there. And so it looks as a group, we're learning more about plant medicine, essentially.
What do these plants look like, or what do you do to make a poultice?
So the poultices, it's always, not always, you can use a wet poultice too. And so I'm seeing that it looks like for chest, anything chesty, like this wet sort of poultice that you rub on is really good. But when we travel, it looks like things have been ground down more into a dry substance, a lot of it. And then you mix it with water, and the leaves that I'm seeing are these sort of almost like heart-shaped leaves. And those ones we boil in the water. We take them out. We'll actually let them dry. Then it looks like we're sort of spreading them out on almost like a grill of like bamboo sticks to dry, and just let that sun beat down. And they're telling me too that getting that sun energy beating down onto it, also there's benefits there. Let it dry, and then you just take it into have these bowls, you put it in, you grind it down, or you can even take your own hand and just smush it, because it's just it's so dry at that point, and you're just crinkling it down. And then you can do a few things. So there's different ones that you can ingest. So you can almost make like a brew, like a tea with it, or like I say, mix it with water, but not much, that it's a thick paste, and put it on people's foreheads or chests when they're sick or scrapes. And it almost works like a bit of a natural antibiotic.
Oh, wow. And what do they do with the kelp? And what does this kelp look like?
The kelp looks super green and stringy, and it just smells so gross. I just can't get over the smell. But they talk about how it kind of has all of the nutrients that you could possibly need. And again, just about the idea of not over consuming, and that sometimes in these really small plants, they're so nutrient dense, and they have everything you need to sort of sustain a healthy body. So they balance sodium, and they have vitamins and minerals in them. And so you can boil them and you can drink that broth, and that's really healing. And then the actual eating of the noodles is just really good too, and people seem to enjoy the experience of eating that. I just can't get over the smell very well, but it's really therapeutic.
Oh wow, what does it do for you?
So there's a connection when you eat it that connects because of where it comes from, and it's that ocean, like it's in the ocean, and so it's connecting you with the energy force that's within that ecosystem. So you're getting that, just like when we were out and I was talking about making these poultices, and you're getting the sun that beats down on them, and you're getting energy from that. You're getting energy that is found in that specific ecosystem. And again, it helps with just your connection to that ecosystem. And especially for for individuals that seem to be on the water and the sea a lot, that is a really good thing. And they're telling me that all of us we're composed so much of water inside of us. And so we have a natural affinity, like our bodies want to naturally connect with that ecosystem because we're so heavily made up of water. And so that allows for a balance within our system. And it kind of like, again, I'm just hearing like our bodies just sing when we eat kelp or drink the broth from that, because there's a recognition of that water and that connection to that ecosystem when we do this. And then again, like I said, just the balance of minerals and sodium and all the electrolytes that your body could need are found through drinking that broth.
And do these Templars that you work with, do they take monatomic gold or no?
Monatomic gold?
Mm-hmm. They make that or no?
So I'm getting that that's not something that they shared with us, but it seems like if I look at their ship and when they work together and they do practices together, that a specific substance and work with that is done with them, but it looks like that's not something that they've shared with us.
You get a sense why they don't share it with you?
I don't want to say that it's a lack of trust, because it's not. I think what it is that it's a sharing of information as you need it. And there's a sense like we don't want to overwhelm. Like, what do these people need to do the work that they need to do right now? And so they're giving us the information that we need. And it's not a withholding. It's just also like, we don't want to overwhelm. And so, you're learning from us, and you're also learning from the tribes people, and you're like these us little people that work on this ship. This is also new to us. And so like, let's just let them learn this first. And not that we don't have to, but it's a lot. It's just a lot. So it's like, there's so much information that they know that we're not going to get it all, because we just don't need it all. And yeah, I guess that's just the sense that I'm getting.
And do you get a sense when they take it, what it does for them?
I am hearing two things, that it does two things, that it's grounding them and it's also opening them up. So there's something that's happening. So it's expanding their mind and opening them up to a connection above. And then it's also grounding them with Mother Earth at the same time. So it's doing two things at once, and it's a very balancing type thing. So it allows for expansion and grounding at the same time.
Do you get a sense where the practice of making monatomic gold comes from? Like, where did the Templars find out about it?
So what's coming to me is Egyptian times, and where it came from to get there, I'm not sure. It almost looks like possibly there was like extraterrestrial involvement with that knowledge. And just like we talked about with the gems being taken from that area and moving towards more European destinations, it looks like that knowledge was something that had come through that pathway as well, and was shared with them.
Can you look into that information and look at when it was used in Egypt?
I'm not seeing that it was actually shared with like the pharaohs, which is what you would automatically think. It's like it was shared with their wise people or shamans and their advisors, and that's something that they used. And I think it seems dependent on the relationship that they had with the people that were more in power, whether they shared that or not. And maybe that wasn't how it was initially, but the situation that I'm seeing sort of play out is that it seemed like there was a protective group that had this, and it wasn't widely shared either, and it wasn't always shared with even the people in power, so they kind of kept it to themselves, and it was something very valuable, it seems like, and really revered, and that they also used that.
The people in power?
No, the people that were advisors to them or had influence over them in some ways, that they were the ones that had access to that, and also sort of were very protective of it, and they were the ones that were using it.
You get a sense, if you follow those wise people that were helping the ones in power, if you follow them all the way back to where they first got it, do you get a sense?
I keep seeing Atlantis, that keeps coming in, but they want me to know that it was something that was, he didn't just stumble upon it. There was like guidance through some type of extraterrestrial type interaction or guidance that led them to that.
Could you tell me about that to get a sense as to what that looked like?
It's really interesting because I personally, in this life, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what this is. So it seems like it's something that, again, there was some guidance from above, and it was telling a specific group of people in Atlantis where to find this, and that, again, that it would be helpful. And again, it was not something that was shared with the people in power there, is what I'm seeing. So this seems to be something very cherished and protected that's been passed along. And for whatever reason, they knew that there was a subset of people in Atlantis that didn't necessarily agree with the people that were in power there and what they were doing. And they either telepathically or intuitively were able to communicate with this group and lead them to where, to locate this and how to work with it. And that's how I'm seeing that it started. And it was transferred from there to Egypt, over to Europe, and then came through that pathway, is what I'm seeing.
If you go back to that time in Atlantis when these extraterrestrials, or this extraterrestrial was showing them that, do you get a sense if the extraterrestrial had a form?
I'm seeing that it could go into a couple different forms, but that it was very careful there specifically because the people in power were very, they didn't want anyone to deviate from the direction that they wanted people to be in. And so he tried more often than not to connect without physical form.
Oh, and when you say he, what do you mean by he? What did?
I'm getting more of a masculine sense to this this creature, and there's green that's sort of popping in, and there's something sort of reptilian about him. And I don't know if that's how he presented when he came and actually did present in that location. Okay, so this is interesting. So it's in one of your books, I believe, that you talk about the reptilian people and how they took them to that island and they just killed them off. It looks like the reason that he presented as reptilian in this lifetime, or that, like the Atlantean lifetime period, is because he was able to connect with parents. It was a group of parents that had lost some of their kids to that island.
Oh, wow.
And he knew, it looks like, that if he presented that way, that there would be some empathy immediately to him. And I think there was just a lot of...
So he looked animalistic?
That's right. He had, there was like a green kind of shimmery glow to his skin. And he had these eyes that sort of would blink like a reptile would. And I think he presented that way to them because he knew that once they had lost their children, they recognized immediately that something with the way that they were living just wasn't right. And that those would be people that would be more open to help. And he knew that they needed to, because that planet was sort of, not that planet, that area of the world at that time was going in a direction that wasn't intended to. He was there to try to help them carry that information and hopefully start a culture elsewhere that would be more what we'd want to see with the human like civilization.
What kind of things did he teach them? He taught them how to make monatomic gold, or what did he?
He didn't teach them, it looks like, to make it. It looks like he teaches them how to find it so that this can be, he leads them to the areas where this can be found and how to work with it.
And how do you work with it?
They're not going to show me that.
Oh, okay. What did Atlantis look like at this time that you're seeing when he comes there?
It looks very, obviously, technologically advanced, but like the shine and sheen of it is wearing off almost. And like there's starting to be a little bit of an awakening with more people living there that something's not quite right. And before, it was just people would walk in and they were in awe, and it was just this bright, vibrant, energetic city. And all that infrastructure is there, but all I can say is it almost has this dulled kind of sheen on it now. And so I'm getting the sense that it's near the point of collapse, like where that collapse happens, that this information is being shared.
Oh, I see. So this extraterrestrial shares it with them, where to find it, and then what do you notice happens? Do they go find it, and what do they do?
I get a sense that it's given these individuals like a renewed sense of purpose with their lives, because they were really sad and traumatized by the loss of their children and feeling fooled by the people that they trusted in power, but feeling also very helpless and like they didn't know where to go, and they felt like their lives almost weren't really worth living. But it seems like the connection to this individual and the work that he's showing them with this gold and how to work with this is that it's given them a renewed sense of purpose. And so they actually travel from Atlantis over to the Egyptian area before it implodes. It looks like not all of them left, but but enough of them left and went over there that this knowledge was able to be carried on.
What did they do with the knowledge when they got to Egypt?
It looks like they safeguarded it there as well.
Where?
I'm seeing something to do with the Sphinx, and I don't know if that was just, that's coming to my mind. There's something to do with the Sphinx, and that was almost like, what do you call it? Like when there's a fire or something in a building and you have like a muster point. That was like a muster point for the individuals that knew how to work with this, and there was some sort of hiding that was done in that area, and so they all knew to go there and connect with each other, because they didn't all, it looks like those of them that had this knowledge didn't all stay super connected as far as like how society would see that, and there was a reason for that. So they've spread themselves out within the culture and strategically placed themselves there, but that was like a muster point for them at the Sphinx.
Oh wow, okay. If you look at and you look under the Sphinx or around the Sphinx, do you see what they were doing or where they stored it?
There's something inside there. There's like doors that can be opened up, and they knew that. So they had a lot of influence in the society. It looks like, just the way that they knew how to work with this, they were able to align themselves with powerful people within the society. So they had access to almost everything. And it looks like if you go through the Sphinx, that there's, I want to say you can like press on what looks like just a wall, and then there's like a door that you can go into, and they were able to hide not only, you know, objects and things that they were using to do the work that they did, but they could also go in those buildings and like hide themselves and do that work together in like a hidden room within there.
If you look at the Sphinx, where does it look like this hidden room is?
It looks like you're going down steps and you're going down a pathway.
Oh, so it was like under?
It was under it. The steps down, you're going down a pathway. It's not super, super deep down, but it's a few steps down the entrance. You're going down a long pathway. I'm seeing that you're turning left down a hall, and that's on that left-hand hall, on the left-hand side, that you're pressing this, what just looks like another piece of the wall, but it opens up into a door, and that opens up into a room that they've set aside for the work that they do.
Tell me more about the work that they do. What does it look like they do?
So it looks like they're able to do a lot of grounding and opening up of the mind and connecting with like the higher consciousness and star people, and they're sitting in a circle, and again they know that that somehow amplifies the work that they're doing. And all I can see is like the energy. So that, like I said, something to do with this anatomic gold. I have no idea what this is, but it, like I said, it grounds and it opens. There's mind expansion. So they sit, they ground, so they're now connected with Mother Earth, and then I see all of their minds like opening. This is what I'm seeing, and somehow the circular energy field goes into a point and goes up through the Sphinx and into, I don't know, like the consciousness of the sky and what's the universe, and that they're able to connect and get messaging and guidance that way.
What sort of messages and guidance did they get? Do you get a sense?
It seems almost like predictive, like they can see in the future. They can be told, like alerted of things that are coming up. And it looks like the reason for that is so that they're safe guarding the information that they've learned and the practices that they've learned and these valuable spiritual type assets that they've got. And so they're always one step ahead, and they'll always be able to safeguard this information and, you know, move it through the future with the right individuals to always sort of protect it.
And what kind of tools do they have, and where did these tools go?
So it looks like some were left behind, and then some of it was the easier things to remove that were not so conspicuous, that they were able to remove, that they would take. And a lot of the knowledge was even just transferred down orally from them to the next generation of individuals. But it looks like they have a multitude of things they were able to work with. So they do have some crystals. They have some herbs. I'm seeing over and over something to do with like triangles. So, you know, in a band where you like ting on one of those triangles. They have that, and there's a purpose there. What they keep showing me something about this triangle thing. And that's so funny because
I know.
This is bringing me back to the Merkaba we were talking about. Oh my gosh. So they're showing me this, and that it's easily just flipped down the opposite way. And exactly like this, that is one of the things that they worked with. And so when I'm seeing
the two triangles,
yes,
one above and one below.
Yes.
And what do they do with them?
So they're showing me that this actually has a lot to do with the pyramids and Egypt, and why those pyramids are created in the shape that they are too, and that this all has to do with energy. Oh my gosh, this is always just so fun to see how this all comes together. So even when they're sitting in a circle, like I said, there's this rounded base of their energy, because they're all connecting through their heads, but it's shooting up and making this triangle on their heads. But they're showing me that the way that you would connect again to the point in the middle of the circle on the ground, and this is the grounding piece that we were talking about, it's just an inverted triangle. So the triangle is that way and then inverted, and that is like connecting all around them. And it's almost how you get this full circle of energy all around you. And yes, we all have that in us. And so you want to activate that. And that is, they're showing me that what they're showing me is that it's so easy. You don't need any external anyone to do this for you. That it's what they were showing us earlier about the chakras, that it's just sitting with yourself and igniting those points within yourself as well, and getting them spinning within your own body. And that they're always there, and it seems like this specific type of
two triangles
is like everywhere in the whole universe. They're showing me that it's in everything. It's in plants. It's like, it's just in everything, and it's in with us. It's within all animal life, plant life, everything. And so the more we activate that, the more easy it is for us to connect with anything, animals, plant life, spiritual guidance from above. So
how do you activate the two triangles, the one on top and one on the bottom?
They're showing me this point sort of around our belly button as being really important, so that it looks like our body is divided almost in half. So from the hips and then down is one triangle, and then the hips and then up to the point of our head is the other triangle. And so if you look at the belly button as being that central point, and you work on a balance and activation there, you can almost get everything spinning from the belly button, spinning outward and pushing those triangles around. And now I'm just like seeing them swirling and going around your body and getting that whole activation going.
Oh, interesting. Do you get a sense if so when they were doing this practice, if they ever did that in the pyramids?
Yeah, they absolutely did that work, and they're showing me that it's like the tip of the iceberg is what they're showing me. So these pyramids, that's the above triangle, but underneath there's so much hidden underneath there that we don't even know yet.
Yeah. So there's a below triangle.
Exactly.
So are there two pyramids, one on top of the other? Like one pyramid up above ground and then one below? Does it look like that, or how does it look?
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like, but they're showing me that the one above, sometimes they're not always exactly the same size, but that doesn't matter. So sometimes there's a pyramid where the underneath triangle is larger or smaller, and sometimes it is like this, just the way they dug it into the ground.
Jagged?
Exactly.
So what would they do inside the pyramid then?
They're showing me again, like they're like pointing at your belly button again, and just about that energy point being really important. So where the divide in the earth, with it above and then with it below, there's something about that central point there that when they were either in the pyramid above, kind of sitting on that central point, or if they were underneath, they were able to connect with that central point. There's something about that energy point that is created by having this, exactly be made, that's important. I'm not really getting all of that, but I'm seeing something about that.
So do you get a sense as to why the pyramids are in the shape that they are?
They're kind of like, because that's like how it's just like sounds like so obvious, because that is like, why else would we build it any other way? Because this is just how everything in earth is made, and this very specific geometric pattern is life. They're like saying this is life, and so if you build things this way, there's an automatic just connection to life and form, in the world and how that works. And it seems like they were just very aware of that. Again, not everyone, but the people that sort of gave the designs for the pyramid, and it offered like a balance and ability to connect with the universe more easily.
Who gave the designs for the pyramid?
I'm getting a sense again that it was this group of people that had this knowledge that they passed down, because they were able to infiltrate themselves in all subsets of that population and were aligned with these really powerful people, and they were able to influence them, sometimes just by being in the room and projecting their energy, or by projecting intuitive thoughts, or even just orally providing guidance because they were so trusted. And so they were able to offer that direction.
Oh, it's really interesting. Wow. Do you get a sense, if you go to a pyramid now, if there's any particular type of practice like that you could do in one of these pyramids?
They're saying to find the center point of the pyramid. So where the peak is, that right below that is where the belly button point is. And so if you have a group of people, for example, they're showing me that is an incredibly powerful point to sit in a circle within that pyramid as a group and focus your energy centrally there. And then they're just showing me that, again, that light shooting up through the pyramid, and then all of you grounding, and that grounding shooting down in the pyramid. So again, it's all connecting below and connecting upwards, and just that dynamic is sort of, they're showing me like mind expanding, and that.
So find the center point and sit in a circle around the center point?
Yes.
And then do you focus your energy into the point?
They want you to focus up above that. So they don't want you to look down at the point. They want you to look up almost to where, so you're going to look at each other and you're going to look at that chakra again that's just above everybody's head.
Okay.
And that's where you're going to be looking at each other, or like at that sort of, so they're showing me here's that point, and then that point, top of the head, and then that is going to all connect.
Oh, like everybody's points.
Everybody's points are connecting.
Okay.
And that's going to shoot up through the pyramid. Once those are all joined, all your threads almost, so like all of that's sort of shooting out and connecting. That's going to connect upwards. And then you also have from your, it looks like your solar plexus is connecting. And so you don't have to think about that. But what's showing me, whatever's being done above, it's like that saying, so as above, so below, or I don't know what that saying is, but that's what they're telling me. It's happening identically underneath you. So your solar plexus, all of your energy points from there are coming down and connecting and then shooting down that way. And so you're forming this, so it looks like a diamond with energy points coming out from each tip of the diamond as you do your work. And again, it's grounding you with Mother Earth. So you're getting all of that like deep-rooted connectedness there. And then you're also connecting and tethering up into the universe that way.
Because I'm going with a group to the pyramids. Do they need to take their shoes off if they were to do that?
They're showing me you don't need to take your shoes off because all of this can be done just through visualization.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Is there anything else that can be done as a group in the Great Pyramid that would help?
They're showing me that they want you to also connect by holding hands. And so that what I just told you, you don't have to be holding hands to do that. But they want you to do another exercise where you're all holding hands as a group. And okay, so it looks like you can guide this, Sarah. So you want to do the exercise we just did. And then once you sort of feel that flowing and that, you've got that really good, you're going to ask the participants to reach out and to basically say to them, and now I want you to join your hands. And now all I'm seeing is that like everything is just connected. And they're showing me like a flower, how the buds go like this.
Circle?
A circle, but like with the petals. And they're showing me again, it's a geometric pattern now that you're creating when you're holding space with each other by hands, and you're sort of creating that flower like.
Oh, like a flower of light pattern.
A flower of light pattern.
Oh, you make that pattern.
You make that pattern, and you just gave me goosebumps again. And so you're going to ask to join the hands, and now all I just see is that energy just whoosh, flowing around all of you.
Wow. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is really helpful. Thank you. Okay. Wow. Do they have any other advice for any other methods or things I could do in Egypt with a group?
So they're saying in your question in regards to taking off your shoes, that they would encourage that when you get out into the dirt and asking people to take off their shoes outside of the pyramid and connecting with the earth outside. And having them ground that way and just feeling that earth energy without a rubber sole on your feet. That rubber sole on so much of our shoes today can block some of that energy transfer. And so asking people to slip off their shoes and take off their socks and connect with that dirt outside of the pyramids would be helpful for them.
What would it do for them?
So they're telling me that that is like ancient energy around there, and that we're all ancient too, and connecting to that is just a very grounding spiritual practice. And it looks like it offers some balance to our bodies. And I just feel people just feeling like sort of like their energy settling when they do that.
Oh, wow. Is there anything else people can do in Egypt that would benefit them?
They're talking about water too. They're saying if you guys have a chance to go to I'm just telling you what comes to them because
That's
you know
fine.
me and my geography. Like,
okay.
is the River Nile there?
Yeah,
That's
it
okay.
is.
Okay, like that's what they're telling me, but I don't know. I never
That's
know.
right. I just had this question in my mind.
Oh my gosh! So they're saying if you can go there and connect with the water too. Again, there it's all about all of these elements. So earth and water and all of those sort of elements, how important they all offer us different connections. And they say again, taking off your shoes if you can and getting your feet in that water also. There's something, especially in that area, it's like a practice about cleansing the feet. And then we know through work that we've done as well that there's just obviously such powerful properties in water, and just connecting in the water that way would be really beneficial for your group as well.
When we go to the Isis temple, is there any way to connect with Isis, like anything that they would suggest?
I don't know why you saying that word just made me so happy, but I'm getting obviously a sense that they're very excited for you to go there. Let me just see if I can tap into this a bit more. Okay, so they're showing me here Isis and Iris. They're like, there's a reason that those are so close. So they're telling me that this is now linking back to what we talked about, looking in each other's eyes. So this would be an area again where you can do one of two things. They're showing me you can have the group separate into pairs and stare and connect at the eyes. So you want to do an exercise. I don't know if you've heard of it. This is like something that's okay. They want you to do that. And so you can sit in a group and you can look across at each other, but they're showing me it would be probably more beneficial to go off in pairs and have people, it looks, I'm seeing you guys sitting cross-legged and looking at each other and connecting through the energy and stuff that you would see in others' eyes. And there's something about being in Isis and the irises, doing that there seems very powerful.
Wow. Okay. Anything else about the Isis temple? It seems interesting, important.
Oh, I'm just like, there's such a good energy that that's going to be there for you guys.
Yeah.
No, that's all I'm getting now.
Oh,
sorry.
Fine. Oh gosh, no, that's amazing. Thank you for all of this. Can you do a body scan on Crystal? Can you scan her body and see how her body is looking?
Oh my goodness, they're saying Crystal. Like it's actually like that. They're like, we've been telling you essentially what to do, and you're here with your family, and we know that you're having a good time, but you have, all the things like we tell you, like the richer foods and the drinks that, you should stay away from. You've been, obviously doing a bit. So they're like, she came here and she said, Costa Rica is this place where, it's time to get clean and, it's a kickstart to the way that she, wants to live her life, but she hasn't quite done that yet. So it's maybe time to it was so fun and, kicking off the start of vacation, but that there would be a real benefit before I go home to trying to maybe take a few days at least to not do that and really connect with the plant-based foods and good things and all that healing and spirituality that exists here and allow myself to feel that energy in a cleaner way before going back home.
Oh, is it a good time? Do I have permission to speak directly with your higher self now, please?
You do.
Why did you want her to go to Costa Rica?
So there is an energy between the two of you that exists, and it was amplifying the experiences that you were both having when you were here. And we were hoping that Crystal would go to the ceremony that night, but we do understand her fear behind the medications that she was taking and her reasons for not going. But the reason that we wanted her to be in that room with you and your group that night was because your energies together amplify the experiences that people are having. And you don't have to speak to each other too much when they're around necessarily. You don't have to do anything. It's just you two and your spirits and your energies being in the same room amplifies experiences. So even though she wasn't there, we want you to know that her being on the same continent and in the same country as you, her energy and your energy still being in that same place allowed the experiences of your retreat and your group that attended to be amplified, even though she wasn't in the same room.
Do you want her to do it next year?
We want to say to you, we want Crystal to be where you are. That's what we want to come through. So It doesn't have to be necessarily here. It can be somewhere else, but absolutely this would be great. What we want to tell you is you two together amplify energy, and we want you to be together. So we want Crystal to be where you are.
Okay. Does this have anything to do with that purple light that you were showing her that connects what we both are connected in that way? Or
absolutely. No? And so even as you're saying that, we were showing Crystal the orange energy is gone, and the pain in her throat that she was feeling when she was speaking about those other issues is already subsiding. And the only thing she's seeing behind her eyes right now is that really deep indigo purple light. And that has to do with the connection that she has with you and the energy that you two have when you're together.
Why did she have a pain in her throat?
It has to do with the blocking, again, of the energy, not the energy, of the information that's you two are bringing forward when you do this work. Okay. And again, it's trying to block it. And we want to tell you also that something that you should know about when you go to the temple is this purple light that you two have is going to be amplified in the temple, in the Iris temple. And that if you can have a purple crystal on you, or if you can wear the color purple that day, that would be beneficial to you when you do your work in that specific temple and area that day.
Wow. Okay, that's really good to know. Wow. Is there anything you want Crystal to do while she's in Costa Rica that would benefit her?
We want Crystal to take some quiet time for herself and to connect with the energy here. Because the energies around the earth, although we are one earth and one people, they do have different properties. We want her to take the opportunity to connect with the specific energies that are here. And she was talking to her husband on the way here about one of his cousins who was having some health concerns. And she was wondering if doing Reiki on him would be a good thing to do while they were here. And we want to tell her that would be very beneficial for her to share her energies with the energies of this country and share that energy with him. And it would help calm his nervous system. We want to encourage her to do that work. So connect not only with herself, but to connect with him before she goes home as well.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, wow. What are the benefits of doing ayahuasca, or is it actually not good for people?
So this brings us back to what we discussed with you when we talked about alcohol last time, and just being mindful that all of these things can have both beneficial properties and properties that can be negative. And it really depends who you're doing it with and the situations that you're placing yourself in. So if you're doing ayahuasca the way that you did it with a group that you feel safe with and where the energy is flowing and there's a safe and protective environment that's been created, that should be okay. But you don't want to use ayahuasca like some people use alcohol and do it consistently, because ayahuasca is hard on the body. Essentially, it is a poison, and it's poisoning your body. So it can be hard on your kidneys. It can be hard on your liver. And so you don't want to use it in excess. It's like too much of a good thing. You want to use it sparingly, but also recognizing that there is a way to do it where the effects on your body aren't going to be as bad if someone is negligently using it. And again, it's setting the intention, which is what you did when you started your ceremony, and asking for our help, for your higher self, from the help of those in the universe to make that experience less hard on your body than it could be if you did it in a group maybe that wasn't being as careful about it. So absolutely go ahead and use it. But again, do it sparingly, do it with the right group of people, and set your intentions and ask for help from us to lessen the negative side effects.
Oh, so you just ask for help to lessen the negative side effects?
Exactly. And we want you to consider what you asked last time about the ingesting food, when you said, if we bless our food, will that lessen the toxic effects of it? It's similar to that. So, we know we've tried to communicate that eating, meat in copious quantities isn't good. But yes, if you bless your food, that helps counteract some of the negative effects. And when you connect with us and connect with your own personal intentions and set those blessings forth before doing this work, you can counteract some of the negative effects that are associated with ayahuasca that can be really hard on your internal organs.
Do you get a sense why I needed to do ayahuasca? Why did I have to do that?
You had to do it because even though you are so spiritually attuned and you have a belief in all of this work, sometimes you're not taking the time to set aside the time to connect in with yourself and hear these messages. You're very busy helping other people, but we wanted to get through to you, and we wanted to, in a quick, successive way, be able to show you many things that are important to you and your personal growth. And we knew that if we got you in this situation, that you would have no choice but to take that time for yourself and allow those messages to come through.
That's exactly what I got. Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you have any more messages for Crystal? Any other words of advice for her?
We would encourage her to continue to check in with herself and to continue the work that she's doing to grow spiritually, to continue the work that she's doing with you, and to let her know that if she does come back to the ceremony that you're planning for next year, to recognize that there are those pieces that she was worried about and that we just discussed. Yes, it is hard on your body, but again, just connecting in the way that we just explained and asking for that guidance to lessen the negative impacts and spiritually prepare herself for that experience. And we believe that she will be stronger and healthier in body and mind next year, and she will be in a really good place to allow that experience to occur.
How is the healing on her body doing? And is there any other healing you could give her now?
We are always willing to do healing and work with her, and she's been connecting in with us more frequently. We continue to probe and push and nudge her to do that. And we just want to remind her again to do all of these small things that you guys are, learning through the work that you're doing together, such as blessing your food and trying to limit the, things that she's been engaging with so far on her trip. But yes, let us have a moment with her to connect in. So we've grounded Crystal's body. We made her feel more at peace. And we want to share some information that we're sharing with her now with you as well. That as you become more spiritually practiced, and the better you are with checking in with yourself and allowing some time just for you, and the more that you eat healthier foods and you do all of the practices that we've been showing you, that there will be a point that you won't need to take part in psychedelic type processes. You won't need the ayahuasca to connect with what you just connected with this weekend. You're going to be able to do that on your own because you're going to become so much more spiritually connected as you continue to evolve. And the ayahuasca is just a set point to open that up and show you what you already have within yourself. And that eventually you won't need to even drink tinctures like that. You won't need to take any sort of mind-bending psychedelic type drinks or substances, because you will be able to connect with that much more easily on your own as you continue to advance spiritually.
Oh, thank you. Can you activate or put the Merkaba energy through her body?
We can, we'd like to ask for permission to do it to your body as well, so we can have both of those energies spinning together.
Oh, sure.
You should be feeling an expansion in your abdomen. That's where we're pointing our light energy at right now. And both of your triangles on both of you are working and spinning and connecting at the moment.
Thank you.
And we're going to continue to press those triangles and push them so that they continue to spin. And by focusing your energy at your abdomen, belly button area, when you have a moment of quiet reflection, that will also continue to nudge those triangles to spin and spin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do you have any final messages?
We're just so excited that we were able to get you two together.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.